I don't know, maybe it'll show up, maybe it won't. But either way, so Chick, before we get into the real deep stuff of today, um, I went to Panera last night, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, right. Okay, so I went to Panera, and I went and I ordered the Italian sandwich, and I love the Italian sandwich because it comes with a peppercini on the sandwich. Literally, like the peppercini itself is literally sitting on the sandwich, so you get some of that crunch with the sandwich. And I've been ordering that sandwich for years now. Years. It's a staple of I do it every week, and I go, and sometimes during the weekdays I'll go to Panera and I'll order the Italian sandwich, and I'll either get like a side of soup, or I'll get the side of baguette, or I'll get the, not usually the baguette, I'll usually get like chips or something, right? So I'll get the Italian. I'd like the this the half Italian with a side of the potato chips, and the person behind the counter said, "Well, we don't have that sandwich anymore." I was like, "Oh wow, when did you guys get rid of it?" And she said, "We haven't had it in years." I said, "Well, yeah, you did. You had it. I just had it literally maybe, I don't know, less than 3, 4, maybe 6 months ago." What do you mean? She was like, "Well, we don't have the sandwich. We haven't had the sandwich in at least 2 years." So finally, I was like, I was going to let it go. I was like, "Okay, give me a second." I stood out of line, and I got to the back of the line so I could see the menu board. By the time I got up again, back to the front of the line, she brought up a manager, and her manager was there. And the manager was like, what were you trying to order?" I said, "The Italian sandwich, but I'll just go ahead and go with," and I think I ordered the Cuban or something. And she goes, well, we haven't had that in more than 2 years. I said, yeah, she said that, but I mean, I remember having it, just a couple months back. And she's like, "Where did you have the sandwich?" And I gave the other location, because I hadn't been to this location before. And I was like, and she was like, "Well, no, it's been more than 2 years." I said, "Okay, all right, fine." And I got tired of arguing. About it, right? So finally, I placed my order, and then the manager, after that, I was waiting for the order, and the manager came back and said, "I called that other location. That sandwich hasn't been there for 2 years." And then she hands me a menu. And she goes, "Well, you can look over the menu and see what items we do." I said, "Well, I've already placed my order. I'm fine. Everything's okay." She was like, "Right, but the salami was too expensive. So that's why they stopped selling that sandwich." And she gets into this diatribe about the sandwich, Chick. And it was the weirdest thing. And it was like, what? What? And she just wouldn't stop. And it was just lunacy. And it was like the most overkill, the most Mandela overkill I've had to deal with in a long time. I think we shifted on, and the sandwich was the pivot point.
That's so crazy. Is my mic too loud before I start talking too much?
Nah, you sound good to me. I mean, if you sound okay to
Good
everybody, I got
stuff.
headphones on too, so it sounds like you sound good. Um,
Hopefully the volumes are okay. I don't want to deafen everyone. But yeah, I've come across things like that too, where people are just protesting way too much. Like, it should have been like, "Okay, sir, we don't have the sandwich," and then just give you your sandwich. But the fact that she calls the other location and she wants to like really drive the point home that they haven't had this sandwich in years, you're just like, who acts like this? Like, unless your name is Karen and you're the meme of the woman of, "Can I speak to your manager?" Whereas this is, the manager is going after you. It's completely crazy. Um,
it was so
I
upside down, and she just wouldn't let up, and it was like, "What? Why are you coming after me?" It's like, "Okay, look, okay, fine." And I think what she wanted me to do was bend the knee, in terms of, and I wasn't doing that because I know about the Mandela effect, and it's like, "Yeah, look, I had the sandwich." And it was really wigging her out, because I don't think she's into me. I don't think she had ever heard of the Mandela effect, that, this kind of stuff is popping off every single day to people. It's happening all over the place every day now, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. And I was like, I'm just not going to argue with you about it. It happened. And I think that's what was, and I was so cool about it. She just had never experienced like a challenge to it wasn't her authority. It was the challenge to the common narrative that there is, this one consensus that we all agree on, and I was deviating from that, and I wasn't going to bend the knee to that consensus. And it was just, for her, it was just, I guess it was too much for her to handle. But it was like, I mean, all the way to the end, she like watched me leave and everything, like I was about to wig out or something. It was like, oh, okay.
Rob Stoner says in the comments, I bet SMQAI wasn't the only customer who asked for the sandwich.
Yeah, that could have
Maybe.
been it. And she finally flipped on me and was like, "No, I've had enough. We've not had this sandwich for 2 years." And I bet other people were Emmys and they didn't
Mm-hmm.
know, and they simply, either complained or they said, "Okay, I believe you," and gave up. And I was like, "No, no, that's fine for you. And I think what freaked her out was I said, I said that's fine that you, and I let a little bit slip. I said, that's fine that you haven't sold a sandwich in 2 years, but I've eaten it before that. She said, yeah, but Panera the company here. And she was like animated at this point. And I was like, no, okay, that's I'm just like, no, no, no. So it was, anyway, looks like we got a lot of people here. And so it was just the weirdest thing, man.
It's just, yeah, that's just like, so, I'm kind of speechless here. I'm just like, it really feels like she's trying to enforce this narrative. It almost sounds like you saying, and I know you didn't, but almost like you're like, I was here yesterday and had that sandwich. And she's like, we haven't had that sandwich in 2 years. And all these people are asking me for this sandwich and it's making me feel angry and afraid. So I'm just going to completely, bash everyone over the head with the menu and our company and everything. And maybe some people even said to her, like, oh, well, in my reality, I've had the sandwich. In your reality, you haven't for a couple of years. Maybe she's like on the edge of waking up to something and that's why she's so freaked out. I have no idea, but it's an
Yeah,
abnormal reaction. Like you would, if you didn't suspect anything, you'd just say, oh, well, this guy, he just has no idea, how long ago it was that he was here. It's got to be a mistake. But she wants you to say that you're wrong.
right. And it's a actually, maybe this is a bit more deeper than I suspected, because if you think about it, the people that come to the Mandela effect willingly, right? Most people, they have something, the usual narrative that we all have together as a group, and like the same people that come back over and over again, is like, we had something odd happen to us, so we start seeking, right? And we're all seekers in our own way. So we're looking, and finally we stumble across the videos. We start watching the videos, we're hearing the testimonies, and we're like, nah, no. And then finally it happens again, right? It's like, okay, okay. And then finally it starts just, I think, sinking in for us. But think about that. We were seeking. What if there's a whole maybe subset of the population that could be the people that are more vocal against Emmy or anything like that. A prelim is looking, couldn't find the Italian. Yeah, the Italian's gone. And apparently, according to at least one manager of a Panera, it's they haven't had it for more than 2 years. Yeah, the toasted Tuscan grilled chicken. I'm a regular there. I eat all the time. I love the Tuscan grilled chicken, and I know all their sandwiches really well. And I like it because if you have to travel sometimes, you can know that you can get, kind of something higher than a McDonald's. You can get like in any city, you can get that, and it's like the staple. So that's why I go to it. But yeah, it's it's crazy, man. So yeah, the Great Sandwich Shift, absolutely, absolutely. So it's stupid, but it's funny because of the reaction. So it was like the first time that I've encountered, and I think I encountered it by accident in real time, and I think it's the first time in real time that I encountered it with a real person, and we had a real difference in opinion about reality, and we couldn't form a consensus. And I'm not going to repeat that call for Zero, but that's funny. But it's just weird, man. It was just weird.
Super weird. I don't know if there's if Steve Turner gave us $2 super chat, but he says up the volume, so I guess we're both a little low. Are we sounding okay to everyone?
Yeah, I heard. Okay, I changed the volume after that.
Oh,
Everybody,
perfect.
yeah.
Sorry,
First,
I'm paranoid now because I ruined one show by being way too loud, so now I'm like way over the top.
no, no, and besides, I mean, I love the crew here, but they let us know right away if something if something's off, chick. They let us know right away.
Good.
So, no, we're good to go. So, all right. So all right, that's the side topic. What we decided to do was talk about that, folks. To get everybody in here because I've learned that with this new software, a lot of the regulars, were missing the first part of the show, and I wanted to start a little bit early and just have kind of a side conversation so everybody, all of our regulars could load in, and you don't have to miss the show live, and I can see the chat. I can see it. It's a top chat. I'll put it at live chat. I can see everybody, and see everything, and you don't miss it. So, thanks, Seth. I appreciate that. So, and thank you, Steve. Meat clouds your aura and your chakra flow. Yeah, I know, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it, Steve. I love those Italian sandwiches. But I have stopped eating beef, but still, I still couldn't help it. Anyway, all right. So yesterday I heard, while I was actually at Panera of all things, I heard your show, Chick, on your channel. And if anybody's curious with Chick's channel, it's just type in Chick Mandela Effect on the YouTube search. It'll usually take you right there. And it was a great show. And while I was listening and doing battle over the existence of an Italian sandwich, I caught what you were mentioning about the body entering and exiting avatars. And then so earlier today, I did a whole 5-minute just to kind of blurt it out. And the idea is that we have avatars as bodies, but our consciousness or our souls or whatever jumps between different avatars and different versions of reality per shift. So it solves twofold problems. It solves the idea of what the shift is, and it also solves the problem of the NPC and the value of the NPC, because everyone had a lot of problems, understandably, about NPCs and not valuing, people and their, the idea of an NPC is there's like a caste system, and that's not good. So, wait 1 second. Sorry, I had to cough. So when listening to your show, I was thinking about that, and then it came to me that, on top of your idea, there's the idea of, so the body is jumping in and out of the avatar during a shift. So, and the body itself is within the normal bounds of a version of reality, or that frequency which creates that reality, and it jumps from frequency to frequency, or that version to that version to that version of reality. But then also too, what's important is that means that everyone is an ME. And that even though they're the broader population for this version that we're all together in right now is or this group that we're together, we find our cohorts together in it, as MEs. That means that there are other cohorts and other versions of reality, and we see them as NPCs, they see us as NPCs. However, together, we're in different versions of reality at different times. But they, there's an infinite, and there's not an infinite number of me, but there's different versions of me, but there's only one version of me at a time that actually has me in it. And then I started to think, what if you could take the number of MEs that are going right now, let's say it's 100,000 right now, and I'm just throwing out a number, and you divide that by the world's population, that could show you the number of versions of reality that there is out there. And I was starting to think about the golden ratio, the golden mean, the Fibonacci sequence. Everything is based off of a very, very simple mathematical property, or a mathematical, anything like that. And I was like, this is exactly probably something like this, something very basic, something really easy to do, something that is very basic in math that could probably give us, a number of what are the versions of reality. And I thought that solves all of those issues, all of those questions all at once. And so, what do you think?
I think that that answers, like, as you just said there, a lot of questions, because one of the things that I've mentioned over and over with my 2008 experience is nobody noticed that I was gone,
Yep.
like back on the Sagittarius arm. And I've always wondered, like, why did nobody say, wait, where were you? Or, if something crazy had happened and I died, why would people say, oh my gosh, why are you not dead? What the hell are you doing? Like, still being alive? Like, what the hell's going on? Because people were very, it was like everyone was like us on the Sagittarius arm Earth that I was on. I'd never met Orion type people until I came here. So, and I've seen people wake up, as in they were like kind of NPC'd out, and then it's the next time I saw them, they were showing me the map and saying, what happened to South America? What's going on? So I don't know, it's been kind of in the back of my head for a minute, but I think that you put it together very, very well there, is that it could indeed be an avatar situation.
So yeah, I just I think it's something that is, and people are mentioning, and what I want to do is somehow try to, we started to do talks, right? Like if anybody is still, if you haven't been with the channel from the beginning, what we did last time before we got the gateway document was you and I were talking about the gateway document before it arrived, and then it really kind of arrived. We started to talk about World War II before that. I did that thing with the Philadelphia experiment, and we kind of evolved into the Gateway CIA FOIA document. And then that opened up it opened up a lot of doors, but it also answered a lot of questions for us. And then we were able to go to that next level. And now we're at this next level. That theory here that we've pieced together right here is almost, I almost feel as if it's a precursor to something else that's going to come into our lives in terms of revelations or information, in terms of a revelation to us. The gateway document was a revelation to us. It was something that thunderstruck us. We were absolutely, nothing was the same afterwards. But we had almost some of the same people are here, but we had lots of different people that have come and gone since then, but they were there to experience the evolution up to that. And because we don't believe in linear time, we could be already borrowing from the future right now. And if you really know about retrocausality, you know that the idea of the past affecting the future, or the present affecting the past, or the future affecting, just mix it up any way you want, except for the past, present, future way. We could be borrowing from another time. And you and I, we bounce off each other pretty well with the input of the audience. And I think we've got a real revelation here in order of that next level. And eventually what will happen, I think we're going to see some kind of something come into the channel and into this version of the chat of the regulars, and we'll all have it. We'll all have the paperwork for it. We'll all have the receipts, as they say. Like, we have the receipts for Gateway. We have the receipts for, we went through a tear for a while. So I don't know.
Well, there's just like a couple of things I want to say, and I hope I can remember them all. But the first thing is that to me, the gateway wasn't just that, it was showing us, the toroidal aspect and everything, but it was like a confirmation. Because way before I ever got involved with the SMQ channel, when in the version of reality where you were SMQ and not SMQ AI, but I'm sure you were doing this as well as SMQ AI at the same time, in a different place. How weird that is. You were already onto so much of this stuff. You already understood about the cymatics, and you were already saying things that then the Gateway document confirmed. And I thought that was so amazing, because you understood the concept of pulling things out of fiction and how that influences reality and can turn into reality. So I think that you sidestep you were already operating outside of the usual linear time before we even realized that the powers that be understood these things too, and were probably have been doing this for a long time. And I'm sure they have amazing remote viewers. I'm sure they have all kinds of stuff. They're claiming they have the looking glass technology. They're, and as I talked about on the show yesterday, probably by just looking at the possible timelines in the looking glass technology, by being observers, they probably locked those in and made those timelines real just by looking at them. And that was a problem because they locked in the wrong ones.
Oh, totally. No, please keep going. I was just like agreeing with you, like, yeah, totally. You observe something, you make it real. Period. That's it. You observe it, and that cat is alive or dead. That's it.
Exactly. When you have a person involved, it has that effect. And I think that I have, conspiracy theory that's unfounded and unsanctioned and everything, but I said it on my crazy random live table show the other day, round table show, that I think that at this point they realize that when you have observers, you lock things in, whether they're good or bad. I think they probably have a quantum computer looking into a looking glass technology and going through all these different, possibilities and only showing and highlighting the desired outcomes. And then the observer just looks at a list of desired outcomes. Because when you have just a person look, as you so aptly said, then the cat becomes dead or alive. It locks into one timeline and then you're stuck in that. And they admitted in this video from 2012 that a whole bunch of people had these looking glass technologies, or rather a whole bunch of governments, and they were all looking at it over and over again, hoping to get the answers that they wanted, and they stopped looking because they kept getting the answers they didn't want. And I'm like, okay, so you had a bunch of people basically with these very elaborate, you might call them scrying mirrors, or whatever you want to call them, looking into these possible outcomes and making them more and more, real and nailed into being a possible outcome the more they looked. And nobody seemed to realize how detrimental this practice was and how it actually pulled all of us into a whole bunch of problems. Because I was amazed. They're not Mandela affected. They're not claiming to be Mandela affected. But they were talking about timeline 1 and timeline 2. And timeline 1 sounds like Orion, and timeline 2 100% sounds like where I'm from. And they kept saying timeline 2 was going to end up in a disaster, and timeline 1 was going to be this like crazy ascension process where people were going to basically, he didn't say it like this, but it was like people were going to become free radicals, and that they were going to be, in a sense that they were going to be not under the same kind of density, perhaps. They're not locked into the same things as the people in timeline 2. So, people might not think any of that is real, and I even said I don't know if any of it is real. I just take it as food for thought, that it as a possibility. It's knowing what the government knew, it was a crazy thing to do.